friends, welcome to Civil Engineering Mastery. Today in this video, let's discuss few important things about doubly reinforced beam and how do we design the doubly reinforced beam by using IS 456-2000 and SP16 with manual calculation. So without any delay, let's start now. First, let's see what is doubly reinforced beam. A beam which has reinforcement in tension zone as well as in compression zone. For example, when the beam is loaded like this, so it tends to behave like this. The top surface get compressed and the bottom surface get expanded. So this one we call it as a compressive force and the bottom we call it as a tensile force. So we need to provide the reinforcement in order to increase the moment carrying capacity of the beam both in tension zone as well as in compression zone. If the required area of the tension steel is more than the limiting area of the steel recommended by the code. So what is the code recommended? That is SP16, because from SP16 we have to find out the percentage of steel and then we need to find out the area of steel required. So there is some limiting values from that code. SP16 is the design aid for reinforced concrete. It is special publication 16. So in that code there are limiting values for required area of steel. So if the required area of tensile steel is more than the limiting area of tensile steel, then we have to provide compression reinforcement to increase the moment carrying capacity of the beam. So in this way we call this one as a doubly reinforced beam if the required area of steel is more than the limiting area of steel. So then we have to provide the doubly reinforced beam. Next, let's see why we need to provide doubly reinforced beam when the ultimate moment is more than the limiting moment. As I told you before that there are few limiting values. When the moment is more than the ultimate moment mu, that is factored moment, which is more than the limiting moment mu limit, then we need to go for doubly reinforced beam. The required area of tensile steel is more than the limiting area of steel recommended by the code. In this case also we need to go for doubly reinforced beam. And apart from these things, wherever the architectural restrictions are there, where we cannot increase the depth of the beam, so in that case we have to go for doubly reinforced beam. In doubly reinforced beam, both steels will be provided in both zones. So this is the area of steel in tension zone, this is the area of steel in compression zone. Here also you can see in both sides the reinforcement is provided. Compression steel may also change the mode of failure from compression failure of concrete to tension failure of steel, and also it is very effective in reducing the long-term deflections due to shrinkage and creep. Next, let's see in what circumstances we need to provide doubly reinforced beam. The first one is architectural requirements restricts the beam depth. In some cases we cannot go on increasing the beam depth because there are some restriction for headrooms. So we need to provide the proper headroom height. So we cannot increase the beam depth beyond that. So in that cases we have to go for this doubly reinforced beam without increasing the beam depth. Next, when the beam has to carry moments greater than the limiting capacity of the beam. So this is the ultimate moment. Ultimate moment is greater than the limiting moment. That means factored moment is greater than the limiting moment. So in IS 456-2000 there is a formula to calculate this limiting moment, and then we can check the actual moment whether it is greater than the limiting moment or less than the limiting moment. So according to that we can come to the conclusion whether we need to provide the doubly reinforced beam or not. So in apart from this we have the code SP16 as well. So design aids for reinforced concrete. So in this also we have the limiting values that I'll show you now. This is the code SP16 table 2 reinforcement percentage is given for singly reinforced section. So the concrete grade is FCK 20 Newton per millimeter square. So here let's see the limiting value which is 2.98. So that is for the grade of 250 grade steel. So for 415 if you check here 415 grade, so this is the value 2.76 is the limiting value for FE 415 grade steel. So this is how you can come to know the limitation. So if the, as I told you, like if the moment carrying capacity is greater than the limiting value, that means like if you find out the mu by bd square value that is more than the limiting value, then you cannot find out the percentage of steel from here. For example, here let's take the grade of steel as Fe415, and then if you have the mu by bd square value is more than 2.76, then you cannot find out the percentage of steel by using this chart. So this is the limiting value, and then what we have to do, we have to go for the doubly reinforced section. So in the on that table we have to find out the reinforcement details. This is table 50 for doubly reinforced section. Here the concrete grade is M20 and the steel grade is 415. So here what we have to do is, you can see as we checked from the table 2, that limiting value for mu by bd square was 2.76. So after that 2.77, it started here from 2.77. So the same grade, Fe415 grade, it started from 2.77. So that was the limiting value, and then if that exceeds that value, we have to go for this doubly reinforced section. So here d dash by d dash is clear cover and d is the effective depth. So that value we need to find out. According to that, we have to choose the percentage of steel from this chart. So here from 2.77 to till 7.1 is given. This is again the limiting value, and then if it goes beyond that, we have to increase the concrete grade or steel grade. So we have tables for all the concrete grade and steel grade. I hope it is up to M30, and after that 500, Fe500 we started. So according to that, we have to choose the reinforcement percentage, and then we can calculate the area of steel. Next one is in the span of the continuous beam, when the bending moment at a section changes its sign. So in that case also we have to provide this kind of doubly reinforced beam. Next one is to hold the shear stirrups in place. So here at top compression reinforcement is provided and bottom tension reinforcement is provided. So stirrups are provided in order to carry the shear force. Okay. So in order to resist the shear force, we have to provide the stirrups. So to hold the stirrups, it has to have the reinforcement at both bottom and top. So if it is not provided, the stirrups will not be held in proper position during concreting as well as vibrating. Next one is increase the ductility of the section to respond better in seismic forces. So when we provide the doubly reinforced beam, it increases the ductility of the section that also respond better in seismic forces. So IS 13920/2016, which is specially meant for ductile lay trailing. So that code refers in class number 6.2.3, minimum of 15% of tension steel to be provided as compression steel. So these are all the few factors in what situation we need to provide doubly reinforced beams. Let's see few important IS code recommendations for beams. So everybody has a curiosity to know how much should be the beam width we have to give, how much should be the beam depth we have to give. Depth will vary according to the load and according to the architectural restrictions and according to the span of the beam. But width minimum we have to provide 200 mm, shall not be less than 200 mm as per IS 13920. Minimum area of tension reinforcement. So always we have to look for this, like whatever the in some cases where the load is less, so there we get less steel than the minimum required steel. So always we have to check, we have to make sure that we have to provide the minimum area of tension reinforcement. So for that we need to use this formula. Area of steel is equal to 0.85 BD by Fy. Here Fy represents the grade of steel. B is the width of the beam. D is the depth of the beam, effective depth. So this is given in IS 456/2000. And next one is maximum area of tension reinforcement shall not exceed. So how we have checked the minimum area, the same way we have to check the maximum area also. So maximum area of tension reinforcement shall not exceed 0.04 BD. That also given in IS 456 2000. Next, number of bars. So according to IS 13920, at least two 12 mm dia bars at top and bottom faces should be provided. The minimum required on any face at any section. So that is percentage minimum percentage required at any face at any section, that is as per IS 13920, which is given here is 0.24 root FCK by Fy. And P maximum provided on any face at any section, that is also as per IS 13920. So that maximum reinforcement is 0.025. So this is the maximum we can provide, percentage maximum. That means like it comes around 2.5 percentage. Let's move on to the problem. So I have taken this beam of 4 meter span. So the beam size is 200 by 450 mm. Grade of concrete is M20, grade of steel is 415, and the load which the beam has to carry is 48 kilonewton per meter. So this is the problem. So let's solve this one. Width of the beam is 200 mm, depth of the beam is 450 mm, and what we have to find out in first step, we need to find out the effective depth. Effective depth is overall depth minus clear cover minus dia by 2. So here you can see this is the breadth and this is overall depth. So effective depth is overall depth minus the clear cover. So this is the cover. Usually we provide 25 mm for beams. So that clear cover and then this dia by 2, whatever the bar we are providing here, so that divided by 2 we have to deduct from the overall depth to get the effective depth. You can see this small d is the effective depth. So effective depth is equal to 450 minus clear cover minus dia by 2. So here I am assuming we have provided the 16 mm dia bar, so that's why I took here 16 by 2. So we get the effective depth as 417 mm. Next, in step 2, we have to find out the mu limit value, because we need to know whether this beam is satisfying that mu is greater than the mu limit. If mu is greater than mu limit, then we have to design this one as a doubly reinforced beam, right? So that let's check. So according to IS 456 2000, page number 96, we have this formula for to find out the mu limit, 0.36 xu max by d into 1 minus 0.42 xu max by d multiplied by bd square fck. So this is the formula from IS 456 2000. So for FE 415, xu max by d is 0.48. So that also from IS 456 2000, page number 70. This is the formula for mu limit, 0.36 xu max by d into 1 minus 0.42 xu max by d into bd square fck. So this is the formula from IS 456. So xu max by d value we have to get it from the page number 70. Here page number 70, there is a limiting value of depth of neutral axis for different grade of steel based on the assumptions. So that is given here. So Fe 415 grade steel, we have xu max by d value as 0.48. So from this formula we can find out the mu limit value. So I have applied all the values. So xu max by d is 0.48, and then b is the breadth and d is the effective depth of the beam. FCK is 20. So by solving this we get 95.96 kilonewton meter. So this is the mu limit value. So now we need to find out the mu value. So that let's check from STAAD software. I have analyzed the same beam for the given load, like this span of the beam is 4 meter, and then let's check the load, 48 kilonewton per meter, and apart from that I have added the self weight. So let's see the result. Post processing mode. So let's check the beam value, beam results. Let's check the maximum value. So we get 100.241. So this is the m value, moment value, but this is not the factored one. So let's take this moment and then solve the problem. So moment value we get it from stat is 100.241. So mu is 150.36 kilonewton meter. So this is the factored moment. Factor of safety is 1.5. So here mu is greater than mu limit. So in this case we need to provide the doubly reinforced beam. So we can come to know that the moment carrying capacity is greater than the limiting moment carrying capacity of the beam. Next in step 3 we have to find out the area of steel. So we know the moment, we need to find out the mu by bd square value. So here is the moment factor of safety multiplied by factor of safety and then divide by bd square. So we get the value as 4.32. So as I told you before, we need to use SP16 code, table number 50, FCK 20 Newton per square millimeter, Fy 415 Newton per square millimeter. To use that chart, we need to know the value of d dash by d. So here d dash is 25, which is the clear cover, d is the effective depth. So we get 0.0599. So let's take that value as 0.1. Let's go to the table and find out the value. Table number 50, reinforcement percentage for doubly reinforced section. So we took the d dash by d value as 0.1. So our mu by bd square is 4.32. So you can be specific. This mu by bd square should be Newton per mm square. 4.32 is the value. So here 4.3 is there and 4.4 is there. So we have to take these two values. Between these two values we need to take and then interpolate to find out the exact percentage for 4.32. So for 4.3 it is 1.429. PT is 1.429 and PC, this is PC compression reinforcement, that is 0.498, and for 4.4 1.460 is tension reinforcement and 0.530 is compression reinforcement. So let's take these values and then interpolate to find the exact percentage for 4.32. So for 4.3 we took the values from table 50. So by interpolating those two things and we get the final values, like for 4.32 we get 1.435 percentage for tension reinforcement and 0.504 percentage for compression reinforcement. So this is the reinforcement percentage. So next let's calculate the area of steel. In step 4 we have to find out the area of tension and compression reinforcement. So tension reinforcement percentage is 1.435. So 1.435 multiplied by breadth and depth divided by 100 will give you the area of reinforcement, tension reinforcement. So we get 1196.79 mm square. So this we need to provide at bottom. So this I'll explain you later. Here compression reinforcement is 0.504 percentage. So similarly we need to calculate the area of steel. So we get 420 mm square. Here let me explain you how do we arrange the bars according to the area. So we have the area of 1196.79 mm square. Okay, so we should, for this we should know the area of one bar. Means like if you use 8 mm dia bar, you should know the area of 8 mm dia bar. So similarly all the bars you have to know the area of one bar. So here I have used 20 mm dia bar. So 4 times 314. 314 is the area of 120 mm dia bar. So here I have used 2 mm dia bar plus 220 mm dia bar. So totally 420 mm dia bars I have used, and you can check this 4 times 314 is 1256 mm square. So that is what I had given here, AST provided. So the required area is this much and provided area is this much. So always you have to keep it in mind. You have to provide the area which is more than the required area. Okay. So here you can have a doubt like here why instead of providing 4 number of 20 mm dia bar you are splitting into 2 to 2 number of 20 mm dia bar plus 2 number of 20 mm dia bar. So here, since the width is minimum, like 200 mm only we have the width of the beam. So in this 200 mm width, we cannot provide 4 number of 20 mm dia bar. So that will be so congested. There will not be enough space to place the concrete. So for that reason, I have split it into 2 plus 2. So in the bottom only 2 number of 20 mm dia plus 2 number of 20 mm dia we have to provide. Similarly, when it comes to the compression reinforcement, here also we have the area 420 mm square. 12 mm dia bar. 113 is the area of 112 mm dia bar. So I have used totally 4 number of 12 mm dia bar. So that comes to 452 mm square. So that is what I had given here. 452 mm square is the provided area, which is more than the required area. So you can ask, like instead of 20 mm dia bar, what happens if we go with the 16 mm dia bar? So let me show you that. 4 times 201 is the area of 116 mm dia bar. So that comes around 804. So this is the area of 416 mm dia bar. If we use in this similar manner, instead of 20 mm dia bar, if we use 16 mm dia bar, we get the area of 804 only. So that is less than 1196. So we have to go with the higher dia bar. So that is why I have chosen 20 mm dia bar, and I have provided the area which is more than the required area. So this is the shear force diagram. So let's check the value. Shear force value. So we get the shear force value also 100.241. Step 5, we need to find out the shear reinforcement, that is stirrups. So we know the shear force value from stat, that is 100.241 kilonewton. So first we need to find the shear stress, which is Vu by D. So shear force multiplied by factor of safety divided by BD. So we get 1.8 Newton per square millimeter. So permissible shear stress is 2.8 Newton per square millimeter. This is from IS 456 table 20, page number 73. So always we should keep it in mind. Shear stress, whatever we calculate, that should be less than the permissible shear stress. So 1.8 is less than 2.8 Newton per square millimeter. So this satisfies this criteria. So whatever the width and depth we have assumed is safe to resist the shear force of 100.241 kilonewton. Here you may have a doubt, what happens if we get the shear stress more than the permissible shear stress? So if it exceeds the permissible shear stress, we need to increase the section dimensions. Either we can increase the width of the beam or depth of the beam. So then we need to continue the same calculation. Next, shear carrying capacity of the concrete section. So now we know that permissible stress is more than the shear stress whatever we calculated. So next we need to find out the shear carrying capacity of the concrete section. So that is tau c BD. So this tau c value we need to take it from table 61 of SP16 for the percentage provided. So as I told you before, the percentage provided we had calculated as 1.505. Required percentage is 1.435. So we had provided 1.505. So this percentage provided we need to use in order to find out the tau c value. So this is table 61. Design shear strength we need to calculate. So as per the percentage provided, we have 1.505. Let's take it as 1.5. So for 1.5, the grade of concrete is M20. So for 1.5 percentage, we have the tau c value as 0.72. So this we need to take to find out the tau c BD value from this table 61. So tau c is 0.72. Tau c BD 0.72 multiplied by 200 is breadth. 417 is the effective depth divided by 1000. So we get 60.048 kilonewton. So this is the shear carrying capacity of the concrete section. So next we need to calculate the shear to be carried by stirrups. So concrete section shear value we know, and next we need to find out the shear carried by stirrups, that is VUS. VUS is equal to VS minus tau c BD. So this Vs is the factored shear force minus tau c BD. Tau c BD value is this one. Okay. So from this actual shear force, we need to deduct the shear carrying capacity of the concrete section in order to find out the shear to be carried by stirrups. Okay. So VUS is equal to shear force, actual shear force multiplied by 1.5 is the factor of safety minus this one, this shear carrying capacity of the concrete section. So if we do that, we get 90.313 kilonewton. So this is the shear to be carried by stirrups. So for this we need to find out the shear reinforcement. Next step is VUS by D. So this D should be always in centimeter as per SP 16 table 62. In that table VUS by D value is given, that D value is in centimeter. So that is why we need to take the value of D as in centimeter. So 90.313 divided by 417 mm is our effective depth. So 41.7 centimeter we need to apply here. So we get 2.16 as VUS by D value. So by using this value, we need to find out the shear reinforcement. That means like dia of shear reinforcement and spacing of shear reinforcement from SP 16 table 62 for grade of steel Fe 415. Let me show you that how to find out those values. This is the table shear vertical stirrups values of VUS by D for two-legged stirrups. As I told you here, VUS by D value is in kilonewton per centimeter. Okay. So we have the grade of steel as 415 Newton per square millimeter. So for this one we need to find out. We have the value VUS by D value as 2.16. Okay. So here is the stirrup spacing. That value we need to find out from here. So let's take the 8 mm diameter. So minimum 8 mm diameter we need to provide. So let's see, 2.16 is our value. So 2.135 and 2.269. So let's take the higher side. So 2.269, it is 16 centimeter. That means 160 mm spacing is given. 8 mm dia bar, 160 spacing is given. So let's take this one. As we have seen in the code, 8 mm dia spacing 160 mm. So 2-legged 8 mm dia at 160 mm center to center. So this is the stirrup reinforcement we are going to provide. So we have few checks for stirrup spacing. So as per IS 456-2000, the first one is it should not exceed the lesser of this. Okay, whatever the three things I'm going to show, the stirrup spacing whatever we are providing, it should not exceed the lesser value of the three. Okay, so first one is least lateral dimension of the member, so that is 200 mm or width of the beam. Second one is 16 times the smallest diameter of the longitudinal bar. So we have the smallest diameter as 12 mm, so that is 192 mm, and the third one is 300 mm. Okay, so whatever the spacing we are providing, it should not exceed the lesser of these three. Okay, so 160 we are providing, so that is not exceeding 200, 192 and 300. So whatever the stirrup spacing we had provided is within the limit. Let me show you the stirrup arrangement. So two-legged 8 mm dia at 160 mm center to center. So this is how we need to calculate the shear reinforcement. So friends, I hope you all like this video. Please do comment in the comment box. Your comments are always welcome, and don't forget to subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you for watching.